Hey everyone, and welcome to Adobe Live. I'm Flynn, host for this afternoon. I'm here with Demas Rusli. How are you going?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I'm really good, man. Welcome back, Adobe Live veteran that you are.
Thank you so much. Good to be back.
Yeah.
Always good to be back in the studio and doing these live streams.
And this is like our last creative challenge part, right? So this is part 3.
Yes.
We're going to do an episode this time next week. We're going to check out all the submissions.
Yeah.
But this is the third one that you're going to show us how to do, and the audience can participate.
Yeah, there's been some really awesome entries so far.
Yeah.
And I'm really looking forward to having a look at everyone's entries and critiquing it and complimenting it next week.
Yeah, it's super cool to see everyone submitting, and that's what we want. So that's why we're doing these creative challenges, to give you the opportunity to test out some of these techniques. Someone like Demas can show you in pretty short amount of time as well. So regardless of what level you are at, you can give this a go, and there's kind of bonus points if you use your own assets.
Or if you do all 3.
Or if you do all 3, so it's 3 challenges, so that's pretty cool. We love to see that. And so you can use the templates available if you're watching on AdobeAPACLive.com. Above us, you can download the templates, and there's also information about how you can submit, and you can use exactly the files that Demas is about to use.
I also send through a weekly newsletter.
Oh right,
just off my website. So if you go to my website, www.demasrusli.com, you can sign up to my newsletter, and every week I send through all the links and the videos as well.
Which has been awesome, and probably where a lot of people are getting them from. So that's super cool. So if you want to do that, if you're watching the replay, all that information, same info is going to be down below in the description. But without further ado, do you want to take over and show us how you do your thing?
Let's do it.
Cool.
So this week, I'm going to be teaching you guys how to create like a symmetrical lookup.
Awesome.
Something like this, with a plane on top to give it a bit of scale and a relatability. At the same time, starting from an image like this. So I was in Hong Kong.
Cool.
Backstory behind the image. And there's so many epic, crazy apartment blocks in Hong Kong, and so this is everywhere. Just you look up and there's crazy lookups.
Right.
When I was there, I wanted to take a photo where I could kind of mirror it half, sort of like the technique we did last week.
Okay. Yep.
But then when I tried to do that at home, that didn't really work. So I thought, what if I split into quarters and create a lookup that way? It'll be perfectly symmetrical, and it will give a different pattern as well.
Right. Yeah. You wouldn't think that you would, get something perfectly symmetrical from this photo.
No, exactly.
Right?
Exactly. But I just had a bit of a play, when I was trying to edit this, and I came up with sort of this mirroring technique.
Cool.
So yeah, this is the file that you guys can download, and then basically we're just going to start off like usual on Lightroom. The aim for this one would be to just brighten it up and make sure you could see all the windows and all the detail in the building. So I would want to increase the contrast, probably increase the highlights as well, so that you could see that glow coming from the top of the building.
Right.
The area we're focusing on, because we're going to mirror it 4 times, is this bottom corner right here.
Right. We've covered this a couple of times just in the creative challenge. You talk about planning out what you're doing.
Yeah.
So sure, there's experimentation there, but at the same time, you know which area you're using, so you don't have to worry about that tree that's in the bottom left. You don't have to worry about anything being blown out in the top left.
Exactly.
You're just focusing on what you're going to use, which comes back to planning.
When I planned it originally, I was trying to use this whole half of the image.
Right.
And so I was trying to flip that, and when I did flip it, it kind of looked a bit off.
Right.
And so basically I was trying to plan for this half of the image, which, when you guys are taking your own lookup photos, you're gonna look at for what parts you want to pick out. From. So I mean, this is quite basic. I mean, there's not that many colors in the photo to begin with. There's a bit of browns and kind of grays, and that's about it. So you don't really need to play too much with the color panels. Maybe I'll just increase the saturation of the oranges to give those lines a little bit more punch. And then maybe brighten them. Yeah, let's brighten them. And then maybe I'll change the color, maybe make it a little bit more red. But that's basically it. Sharpen it a little bit. And we're good for now. In Lightroom, it's
Right.
not complete, but we're gonna open this file in Photoshop now. So we're gonna right click, edit in Adobe Photoshop.
That's us.
And here we are. We're open in Photoshop. I'm gonna show the whole thing. The first thing we're gonna do is crop it. So give yourself a frame. If you're doing it for Instagram, you want to do it. I recommend 4x5 because it uses as much screen resolution as possible.
Mhm.
So in the crop settings, there's a 4x5 at the top, and you want this delete crop pixels to be turned off,
Right.
which means that you're not cropping anything. So I can move it around and still have the full image.
Do you ever have that turned on, or do you always have that turned off?
I always have it turned off.
Yeah.
Because I can move it around after I crop it, and I don't lose any pixels.
Cool.
Then we're going to use the guidelines, just like last week, to bring one to the center vertically, and we're also going to do one horizontally this time to get like exactly the center point, and also 4 quadrants that you're going to end up copying it 4 times. Then the aim is to get this kind of building here to fit into one quadrant.
Right.
So I'm going to put it in the bottom right quadrant. And to do that, I'm going to free transform. So right click free transform or Control T. Use the skew tool. And you can just kind of skew it into place. Keep playing it around, moving it around. Distort as well, so use a bit of both. So once you get like one side lined up, it's okay to kind of stretch your pixels a little bit, but not. We're gonna be stretching it a little bit more than usual.
We're breaking the rules a little bit for this one.
Yeah, but it's okay because the photo itself is already quite high res,
Right.
and you could crop in as well, which we will after this. So I got it to this stage. Once one's lined up, you can double click on it and then reset your points. So free transform again, and you're going to skew again. And then you can kind of just bring that up until that line here is almost horizontal. So that's how we're going to get, this to fit in one quadrant. I'm going to zoom in a bit and make sure that it is nicely in there. Keeps jumping around, moving it down a bit.
She's lining up those gaps.
Yeah, so that we can get a cross pattern of the gaps. I don't know why my Photoshop's jumping around like this, but it's alright. We're getting there. Whoa. Alright. So now we've got, set into one quadrant. What you can now do is select it and make it into a new layer via copy. So now you just have one corner.
Cool.
And then either you can kind of stretch it a bit, or you can crop in. So maybe I can do both, stretch it a bit, and then I'm also going to crop in by pulling just the bottom and holding Alt, so it does all 4. So just like that.
Cool.
So now we have one corner of it. And now it's, I guess the easy part would be to right click it, layer via copy, and then free transform, flip horizontal, and then you got your bottom half, which is like that. And then you could just do both at once by selecting both layers. Then you go free transform. Oh no, sorry, you're going to duplicate them first. So now they're duplicated. Free transform, flip vertical, and then get it lining up.
It's quite trippy, isn't it?
Yeah. Another way, if let's say right now, I'm thinking that the gap in the horizontal plane is not big enough, I could always move it up a bit. So leaving kind of dead pixels.
And you move the bottom one down a little
Move
bit.
the bottom one down a little bit, and then you can grab the color. You can just move it down bit by bit, and then you can just grab the color of the sky, and what you could do is just paint a background layer, just an empty layer here, and just paint it, and it kind of fills it in.
Cool.
Another way would be like to actually cut out the buildings, but I mean, it's the same color, the sky, so it's all right the whole way. So now you've got this symmetrical image, which I like, and it's, you know, it feels like you're trapped inside a Hong Kong lookup.
People with claustrophobia and vertigo are just freaking out.
And then what you're going to do now is bring in the plane.
Right.
So in the folder I've given, there's like a plane template that I found off just Google Images. It's a stock image photo. You're going to drag it into Photoshop and just drag it in. We're going to just make it smaller because, and if you hold Alt while you do it, it just pins itself to the center. You can go as big or as small as you want, but I mean, I think to be a bit more realistic, you kind of want to go small. That's looking quite good. I want to get rid of the background, so I'm going to select all the whites. So by just using the magic wand tool, maybe a bit less, so maybe like 30 of the tolerance at the top. So you can select this, and then you're going to mask it out, which in using this layer mask, but because it's selected, you got to inverse it.
Inverse that.
So now you get that. And then I'm just going to make it really dark. So grab this, make it your brightness contrast, and just make it like quite dark because you're looking up at the bottom of a plane.
Right.
Then you can also use your hue saturation and kind of make it even darker using the lightness. You want to see a bit of detail, but you don't have to see the whole sort of plane. And then it's sort of a bit sharp along the edges, so we can use the blur tool.
We've seen this method before in one of the creative challenges, I think.
Yes, and then you can blur out the mask. So it's going to...
So does it just look unnatural if something's like really like far away and it doesn't, and it has sharp edges? Is that why we're blurring it out?
Well, you got to also look at, like, you know, the buildings here. I mean, it's quite sharp, but it's not like 100. It's not like, you know, full, you know, crisp. So by just blurring the edges a little bit, you get a little bit more realism.
Cool.
In your, like, when you mask things out and when you put stuff in. And there we go. And that's it.
Wow.
Wait, I feel like there's a line here somewhere, but I think, yeah. Awesome. Then you're going to click Save. And go back to Lightroom. And then I think the only one more thing I would do to it is add a vignette so that, you know, you draw yourself in right to the middle of the image.
Right.
And then you, like, it's much more, it gives it much more mood. Feather it out and make it round and, you know, increase the midpoint. So it's like you're really stuck underneath, inside.
Yeah, you are trapped.
The apartments. And that's it.
Wow. Very good. One of the fastest creative challenges we've done. The fastest creative challenge we've done, I think, which is awesome.
It's quite a simple trick.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I think it has a lot of impact.
It's like so visually effective.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of people, like photographers and graphic designers alike, could go, oh, okay, that's how I do it. Great, let's give it a go. And that's what we want you to do. We want you to give this a go. And I'd be very interested to see other people's take on this.
Yeah, I
what
mean,
they could quarter out.
If you want to differentiate each quarter, you could potentially, you know, like fill in a few windows so it's like not the same all around. I mean, this is quite hard to pick because there's so many windows. Yeah. But, you know, you could fill in a couple of the bright windows with something a bit darker, or like you could play it around a bit.
Yeah,
it's up
cool.
to you and how creative you want to get with it.
Yeah, and we hope to see some of those creative submissions. And of course, if you are just more comfortable using the files that we've supplied, you can do that too, and we'd love to see it. So we can show you, maybe Demas will show on your computer
Sure.
how people can submit. So if this is the first creative challenge you've watched, this is how you submit. You can submit by going to the link that is provided. Again, if you're watching the live, it's above us, and if you're watching the replay on YouTube, it's below in the description.
Yep.
And you just fill in the details.
Fill in the details here, and then your images will appear in a gallery, and then just like this, and we're going to be talking about them next week.
Yeah.
And another way to enter is through Instagram. So if you post a photo on your Instagram account and you use the hashtag Adobe Live, and you also tag me in the caption, that also counts as an entry for us to have a look next week. And you can see here there's a few entries already on the hashtag.
Yeah.
This one. Yeah.
Yeah, Adobe Live is a kind of global hashtag, so make sure you do tag Demas if you can. It's just at DMAS.
Yes,
Is
that's it.
that okay? And you can see there's some takes on some of the other creative challenges there with Iron Man in there and everything like that. So get creative, have fun, but regardless, have a go. It will only take you 15 minutes, and we'd love to see some submissions. And this time next week on Wednesday, you and I are going to go through some of the submissions and have a poke around and have a chat.
Yeah, should be a good one.
Yeah. Thank you so much
Thank you for having me.
for coming back on. We'll see you next week.
See you guys.
All right. Thanks, guys.